How did a street beggar become one of the most powerful women? Before we start a story, if you support Black community, hit like and subscribe button. The rain poured over the bustling city, turning the streets into rivers of gray. People rushed past, heads bent, umbrellas open, too busy to notice the world beyond their own footsteps. On the cracked corner of the road, a little girl sat barefoot, her tiny frame trembling under the weight of the storm. She had no coat, no shoes, no shield. Just a pair of worn-out shorts and a thin shirt that clung to her shivering body. She held out her hand weakly, not even speaking anymore. People had ignored her too many times. She knew what they saw. A beggar child, faceless, voiceless, invisible. But that day, something changed. The tall glass doors of a skyscraper swung open. A billionaire man in his late 40s stepped outside, adjusting his coat. His shoes were polished, his tie perfect, his presence radiating the quiet authority of someone used to power. He had just closed a multi-million-dollar deal inside. Yet outside, he paused, because he saw her. The little girl shivered, hugging her knees as water cascaded around her. For a moment, their eyes met. His blue eyes softened, and her brown eyes widened in surprise, because no one had ever really looked at her like that. Without hesitation, the man walked toward her. He bent down, opened his umbrella, and gently placed it over her small head. She gasped, looking up at him as if he had handed her the sun itself. "Stay dry," he said simply, then straightened, turned, and walked away into the storm. She held the umbrella like a treasure, clutching it as though it might vanish. That night, for the first time in months, she did not feel entirely forgotten. Days passed. The man didn't expect to see her again. Yet fate had other plans. One afternoon, as he left his office earlier than usual, he heard shouting. A small crowd of children, well-dressed, expensive backpacks slung over their shoulders, were gathered near the park gate. They were laughing, mocking, pushing someone smaller. It was her, the same little girl. She tried to escape, but they grabbed her torn clothes, calling her names that burned deeper than the rain ever could. The man's blood boiled. He stormed forward. "Hey!" His voice cut like thunder. The children froze, guilt and fear flashing in their eyes before they scattered like startled birds. The girl cowered, expecting another scolding, but instead, she felt a hand gently rest on her shoulder. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly. She shook her head, though her lip trembled. For a long moment, silence stretched between them. Finally, he knelt. "Where is your home?" he asked. Her eyes fell to the ground. "Don't have one." "Your parents?" Her voice cracked. "They're gone." A sharp pang struck his chest. He studied her face, the fragility, the innocence, the despair too heavy for someone so young. And in that instant, he made a decision that would change both of their lives. "Come with me," he said. His home was a world she could never have imagined. Marble floors that shone like glass, chandeliers that glittered like stars, warm meals that filled the air with rich scents. At first, she was terrified, certain she didn't belong. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the soft sheets as though afraid to ruin them. But the man, whose name was Jonathan Reed, didn't treat her like an outsider. He treated her like family. He enrolled her in school. He bought her books, not toys, because he saw how her eyes lit up when she read. He listened when she spoke, even when her words were shy and broken. He was patient when she stumbled, firm when she doubted herself, and always, always kind. Years rolled forward. The once trembling beggar girl bloomed into a bright, ambitious, young woman. She studied harder than anyone else, driven by the hunger of someone who had once known nothing. She graduated at the top of her class, then entered university. Jonathan watched with pride, his heart swelling as she walked across the stage in her graduation gown. He clapped the loudest, cheering as though she were his own blood. And in every sense that mattered, she was. But her journey did not stop there. With Jonathan's mentorship and her own fiery determination, she stepped into the world of business. She studied markets, technology, innovation. She built her own company, not resting on Jonathan's fortune but forging her own path. She worked through nights, fought through failures, stood back up every time life tried to drag her down again. People underestimated her at first. "She's just lucky," they whispered. "She's just riding his name." But when her company launched a groundbreaking renewable energy technology, those whispers turned into stunned silence. Investors flooded in. Her vision reshaped industries. Her empire expanded until the world could no longer ignore her. From the girl who once begged for scraps, she had become a billionaire by her own hand. And at every speech, every award, every headline, she never forgot to mention the man who once placed an umbrella over her head. Jonathan Reed had given her shelter, but she had given herself wings. The world marveled at her rise. Interviews, magazines, television. Everywhere, people asked the same question: how did you do it? How did a street beggar become one of the most powerful women alive? She always smiled, answering with the same words. It started with kindness. One man chose to see me when no one else did. And that's how a little girl's life was transformed forever, from the streets to a billionaire mansion. If you believe in stories of hope, strength, and change, join Black Journey and help us grow this movement. Your support means everything.